McGinn with FSIS. Welcome to the Shiga toxin-producing E. coli STEC sampling update. I'll show you how to collect beef manufacturing trimmings, bench trim, other raw ground beef components, and ground beef for STEC testing. I'll cover the N60 sampling procedures and when it's appropriate to use another technique to collect the sample. I'll show you how to use the new WorldPack bags for collecting samples. N60 sampling is a sample collection method you'll generally use when collecting samples of beef manufacturing trimmings and bench trim. It involves taking 60 thin slices of surface tissue. Each sample slice should be about 3 inches long by 1 inch wide and 1/8 inch thick. It's important to collect thin slices from the external surface of beef tissues because the surface of the beef carcass can be contaminated through sanitary dressing. We need to sample where we're likely to find contamination if it is present. By getting many thin slices from the external surface, we maximize the amount of surface area sampled, which maximizes our opportunity to find pathogens if they are there. You may be familiar with N60 sampling, but I want to make you aware of recent changes to the sample collection procedures. You'll now use 3 WorldPack bags instead of 2 to collect samples for all of the STEC sampling programs, except when ground beef products are available in their final packaging. The WorldPack bags now have fill lines to help you get the desired sample weight of 2 pounds. You'll use these fill lines when you collect samples using the N60 method and grab samples of smaller trim and component types. I'll go through each of the STEC sampling programs in turn and discuss how to collect samples using the new WorldPack bags. Like all of FSIS's raw beef sampling programs now, you'll collect a 2-pound sample rather than a 1-pound sample. I'll start with MT60, the routine sampling program for beef manufacturing trimmings. Beef manufacturing trimmings are trimmings produced from cattle slaughtered on site. In limited cases, MT60 could be at a sister processing plant. If you have slaughter duties and need to collect an MT60 sample, you'll need to take precautions after visiting the antemortem pens or working the kill floor so you don't contaminate the sample. These precautions may include washing and sanitizing your boots and helmet and putting on a clean coat or frock. You'll use the N60 sample collection procedures to sample beef manufacturing trimmings. Randomly select from all types of beef manufacturing trimmings the plant produces. Beef manufacturing trimmings include chucks, rounds, flanks, loins, ribs, plates, briskets, and shanks. Beef manufacturing trimmings also include trimmings from subprimals such as steaks and roasts and boxed beef trimmings. If the plant produces multiple types of trimmings, randomly select one type of trimming the plant is producing that day and take your samples from that type only if possible. That way, it's likely that over time you'll sample all trim types the plant produces. It may not be possible for you to collect only one type of beef manufacturing trimming. This would be the case if you're assigned to a very small plant that processes one carcass half at a time, generates trim, and commingles the trim as the parts are trimmed. In this situation, you should sample the commingled product and indicate that the trim source is unknown when you enter this information in PHIS. Now that you've randomly selected the type of beef manufacturing trimmings to collect, randomly select one production lot to sample. Use the N60 collection method to collect 60 individual pieces of raw beef manufacturing trimmings according to the plant's lotting practices. If the plant's production lot is greater than 5 containers of beef manufacturing trimmings, randomly select 5 containers for sampling and collect 12 pieces from each container. If the production lot is 4 containers, collect 15 pieces from each container. If the production lot is 3 containers, collect 20 pieces from each container. If the production lot is 2 containers, collect 30 pieces from each. And if the production lot is 1 container, collect all 60 pieces from the container. The sampling equipment you'll need include a caddy, sterile gloves, knife, steel, forceps, hook, template, sanitizable clip, mesh glove, and Whirlpack bags. Additional sampling equipment you may need include a sterile drape and sanitizing solution. Find a suitable workstation near the production area to place your equipment. Do not use plant equipment to collect the sample. Clean and sanitize your workstation and caddy. If you don't have a sanitizable surface near where you'll be performing this sampling, use a sterile drape to create a surface for your sanitized sampling equipment. Sterile drapes are available from the Western Laboratory. While the caddy is drying, sanitize the knife, steel, and hook the same way the plant does. If the plant uses a sanitizing solution, then use the plant sanitizing solution according to label instructions. If the plant uses only hot water, then use hot water only to sanitize your sampling equipment. Sanitizing solution is available from the Western Laboratory if there's no other way to sanitize the caddy. Wash your hands before opening the sterile Whirlpack bags. To open the Whirlpack bag, remove the tear strip from the top and pull apart the 2 small white tabs. The interior of the bag is sterile, so be careful not to touch the inside. The bag has a gusseted bottom, so once product is added, it will stand upright. Position the bags close to where you will take the samples. Put the mesh glove on your non-knife hand and put the sterile glove over the mesh glove. Aseptically collect the trimmings from one production lot. Use a sanitized hook to position and anchor a piece of meat at the top of the container. Cut off a slice of the surface that is approximately 1 inch wide by 3 inches long and 1/8 inch thick for each of the 60 pieces. Remember to focus on thin slices from the external surface tissue. For larger trim, you may want to use a curved boning knife and short boning hook instead of the standard hook and standard boning knife. These are available from the Western Lab. To make cutting easier, score the surface in 2 parallel cuts. These cuts should be 1 inch apart and 3 to 4 inches long. This can make it easier to cut the sample slice to the right size. Make sure you collect samples from the original external surface of the beef. It's important to keep the strips very thin and that you submit as much external surface as possible. Take care to ensure the samples contain some meat, because if the entire sample is fat, fat can interfere with the test. You'll use 3 Whirlpack bags to collect MT60 samples. For the first 2 Whirlpack bags, place 30 sample pieces in each of 2 of the sterile Whirlpack bags up to the fill line. When you cut 30 pieces to the right size, the pieces should fill the Whirlpack to the fill line. For the third bag, aseptically collect another sample of trimmings from the same production lot. You won't use the N60 method to collect the sample for the third bag. That means you don't need to count pieces or to cut pieces to a certain dimension. For larger trim pieces, such as chucks, you can just cut the large trim piece so that it fits in the bag, but make sure you leave at least 2 to 3 inches of space at the top of the bag and expel as much air out of the bag before closing it. This prevents leakage. Overfilled bags or bags with an air pocket can lead to leakage, which will result in a sample discard. If you're collecting from smaller trim types in the third bag, collect smaller beef trimmings from the same production lot up to the fill line. These pieces should be representative of the lot, but as I explained earlier, you don't need to cut them to any particular dimension or count them. In fact, you can just aseptically grab smaller pieces. Focus on collecting pieces with as much surface as possible. Just make sure you leave at least 2 to 3 inches of space at the top of the bag and expel as much air out of the bag before closing it. Trapped air in the bag and overfilled bags may lead to leakage, so it's very important that you expel as much air out of the bag before closing it. Once you expel the air, tightly fold over the top at least 4 times. Fold over the side tabs to secure the folds in place. Do not tie the ends. I'll now discuss how you'll collect MT65 samples. MT65 is a routine sampling program for bench trim. You'll use the same collection procedures as you did for the beef manufacturing trimmings, unless the available bench trim is too small for N60 sampling. If that's the case, just aseptically collect 3 grab samples and fill up to the fill line in each of the 3 Whirlpack bags. I'll now discuss how you'll collect MT64 samples. MT64 is the routine sampling program for other raw ground beef components. Other raw ground beef components include cheek meat, head meat, weazen meat, and heart meat, and product from advanced meat recovery systems. Other raw ground beef components also include low-temperature rendered products, such as partially defatted chopped beef, partially defatted beef fatty tissue, and low-temperature rendered lean, finely textured beef. You'll aseptically collect a grab sample of the other components. You won't use the N60 method to collect other component samples. For smaller component types, such as AMR product or low-temperature rendered products, aseptically collect 3 grab samples and fill each of the 3 Whirlpack bags up to the fill lines. If you are sampling larger components, such as hearts, collect 1 or more pieces to fill each of the 3 bags. When sampling larger components, you don't need to worry about the fill lines. Just make sure you leave at least 2 to 3 inches of space at the top of the bag and expel as much air out of the bag before closing it. To close the Whirlpack bag, carefully squeeze out the air remaining in the bag. Trapped air in the bag and overfilled bags may lead to leakage, so it's very important that you leave extra space in the bag and then expel as much air out of the bag before closing it. Once you expel the air, tightly fold over the top at least 4 times. Fold over the side tabs to secure the folds in place. Do not tie the ends. I'll now discuss how you'll collect MT43 samples. MT43 is a routine sampling program for raw ground beef products. You'll collect ground beef product in its final package whenever possible. Remember, like all of the STEC programs now, you'll need to submit 2 pounds of product to the lab for analysis. When collecting ground beef in its final packaging, put the product collected in its final packaging in the larger non-sterile bag provided with the sampling supplies. Put the appropriate number of packaged products so that the sample equals 2 pounds. In this example, the packages are 1 pound each, so 2 packages are needed. If ground beef is not available in its final packaging or the package is too large, aseptically collect grab samples. Use the 3 Whirlpack bags and fill each of the 3 Whirlpack bags to the fill line. Filling 3 Whirlpack bags to the fill line will result in a 2-pound sample of ground beef product. To close the Whirlpack bag, carefully squeeze out the air remaining in the bag. Trapped air in the bag and overfilled bags may lead to leakage, so it's very important that you leave extra space in the bag and then expel as much air out of the bag before closing it. Once you expel the air, tightly fold over the top at least 4 times. Fold over the side tabs to secure the folds in place. Do not tie the ends. Now that you've collected the sample, you need to document it and ship it to the lab. Complete the requested information in PHIS. Remember to click Submit to Lab in PHIS, or the sample will be discarded at the lab. Print the sampling form. It's important to label and seal the containers properly. The labels and seal are included with the supplies. FSIS Directive 7355.1 explains how to use the seals. FSIS Form 7355-2A-2B comes as a set of 1 seal and 6 ID labels on a strip. They all have identical barcodes. Place 1 small barcoded label on the designated spot in the top center of the PHIS sample form. Make sure you don't cover up any important information such as other barcodes or written information. Then place the form in the plastic sleeve. Put 1 small label on each of the 3 Whirlpack bags. Put the 3 Whirlpack bags along with the plastic sleeve containing the form in the larger plastic bag. Expel as much air as possible before closing. Attach the medium ID label 7355-2B to the larger plastic bag containing the 3 sample Whirlpack bags and the plastic sleeve containing the form. If you collected ground beef in its final packaging, the larger non-sterile plastic bag will contain the appropriate number of packaged ground beef products to equal 2 pounds and the plastic sleeve containing the form. Once you've labeled and closed the sample, you need to package the sample correctly for shipping. Make sure you use only the cardboard separators and gel coolant packs provided in the shipping box. Place the large absorbent pad in the bottom of the shipping box, followed by the gel coolant pack. Place the cardboard separator on the top of the coolant pack. Next, put the large plastic bag containing the sample and plastic sleeve containing the form inside the box. Place the foam plug on top and firmly press to remove excess space in the container. Don't fill the remaining space with packing material. This causes problems at the lab. If the shipping container has self-sticking closures, be sure to close the inner flap first. Complete and sign the seal 7355-2A before placing it along the inside seam of the outermost flap. This covers the seam between the outer and inner box flaps. Fold the outermost flap shut to finish. No additional taping is necessary for self-sticking boxes. Use the FedEx stamp on the shipping container that matches a laboratory listed on the PHIS sample form. Fill in the plant number, ship date, and plant phone number. Sign the receipt and remove the top copy for your records. Place the stamp on the box to cover any previous stamp receipts. Remember, use only one FSIS Form 7355-2AB per sample. Using more than one will result in a sample discard. Ship samples on the next available Federal Express pickup time. Keep samples refrigerated if FedEx pickup is that same day or the next day. Freeze samples if you have to hold it for more than a day, such as if you collect over the weekend and ship Monday, or if the plant has a CCP for freezing, and freezing, such as patties going through a spiral freezer, is part of its process. If Monday is a holiday, you can hold the sample frozen and ship Tuesday. So there you have it. Everything you need to know about our updated sample collection procedures using the WorldPack bags. You might want to view this video a few times to make sure you understand the appropriate way to collect samples using the WorldPack bags. If you have questions about this or any other sampling, you can submit a question using Ask FSIS. To submit a sampling question, select Sampling from the category pull-down menu, or you can call 1-800-233-3935. If you call, take a few seconds to listen to the menu options and select the sampling option. Remember, food safety is FSIS's first priority. We're all in this together. One team, one purpose. Thank you.